Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight. Always a privilege and pleasure to host these sessions, webinars, learning platform. Welcome to HR Mentorship Learning Series. Today we have someone who is not a stranger to this platform, Deborah Adumbre. She is making her second return, I'm sure of many more to come. And she'll be discussing with us, engaging with us, facilitating a session on design thinking for HR professionals. Earlier today, I was having a conversation with some colleagues and friends, and I said, in every HR professional's job description, there is one line item there, which is thinking. It doesn't matter whether it is written in black and white. In fact, it should be the very first line item on our job description. Thinking, that's one key thing that we do. Let me just give us a brief about our background so that we can get better acquainted, especially for those of us who are just meeting this phenomenal facilitator for the first time ever. All right. Currently, Deborah Adumbre is a manager, and she is a talent acquisition and development manager with Tropical General Investments, TGI Group for short. Prior to now, she worked as a manager with Quality Foods Africa, and she was in charge of learning and development at Food Concepts PLC. She also had worked previously at First Bank of Nigeria, among others. By way of education, she had a degree, bachelor's degree in economics and business management from University of Fort Hare, that is in South Africa. And she also has a master's degree from the same institution and from the same discipline, business management. Okay, she is an associate of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, CIPM. And I will also add at this point that she's also a member of the core team members and admin, like we call them, at HR Mentorship. She has successfully managed many of the fascinating Hangout sessions we've seen. It's with so much excitement and pleasure that I'd like to hand over the lectern to Deborah Adumbre. Over to you, my sister.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for so much introduction. Thank you very much. Without saying so much again, I would like to thank the HR Mentorship platform for this great opportunity once again. This is what I love doing, and I'm having the opportunity to do this. It's not because I'm so good, but it's a privilege, and I am I'm so happy to be here again. I'm so happy to be here again. This evening we'll be looking at design thinking for HR professionals. So again, this particular session is not just for HR professionals. You would agree with me that design thinking cuts across every area of our lives. If we talk about IT, if you talk about different areas, talk about the economists, talk about the technology world, talk about the HR sector, the quality assurance, or all this space, they use this word, design thinking, and they need, again, to apply this design thinking. So wherever you are listening from, whether you are an HR professional or you are not an HR professional, this is the right time to learn about this. And this is the right time to be engaged. This is the right time to remind yourself, should you have known all these things that I would like to say this evening. Thank you. Let's go straight. I would not say much again. So Ms. Amy already said everything about the facilitator. So what will we be discussing today? We'll be looking at the introduction. We'll be looking at what design thinking is in general. I'll be looking at what design thinking is in HR in specific. And we'll be looking at the 5 design thinking in HR principles and design thinking phases, what it involves, in the design thinking process. We also look at the design thinking in HR example, design thinking in HR, tools for HR professionals. Then we'll look at the impact of design thinking, then benefits of design thinking. Now, in a form of introduction, I have this. So I have this that says that employers are under pressure to attract top talent and adapt to evolving employees' expectations. And for you as an employee, you may be an employee of an organization, you stand to be an employee yourself as an HR professional, you have gotten the mandate to make your employees' experience wow. So how can you do this? It's time to create new ways of thinking and design new people management strategies. For HR professionals, again, to take your organization to the next level, you need design thinking. You need it. You cannot rule out design thinking. And one approach aimed at tackling this issue that we are looking at today about maybe attracting top talent, keeping top talent, you cannot take out design thinking. When you look at tackling this issue, you can never take out design thinking. According to Deloitte, design thinking aims to improve productivity by putting the employee experience first. And that is what I've mentioned before in my opening statement, that we as employees, that is HR professionals again, because we are employees of a company, and we are mandated
You need to unmute, Deborah. And you need to share your screen.
Okay. You cannot see my screen anymore?
You are not sharing anything anymore.
Oh, okay. Let me share it. Can you see it now?
Yes, please.
Can you see it now? Oh, okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I was saying that according to Deloitte, design thinking aims to improve. Can you still see my screen?
Please continue.
The Egyptians will say.
To improve productivity and by putting employees' experience first. Again, so the first time I'm meeting you, that expression you create is very important. Even whilst I'm with you, that expression you create as well is important. And this is what we are looking at today. It's about designing a productive and meaningful employee experience through compelling, enjoyable, and simple solution. And the next slide look at more of concept of design thinking, design thinking processes, design thinking in HR. These are the focus for this discussion. And at the end of this discussion, we will be able to see why we should use design thinking and why it is important that we as HR professionals or even non-HR professionals endeavor as much as possible to involve design thinking in processes. What is design thinking in general? That word design thinking is an academic word. So it's not a word for an HR or for the, it's not an HR language per se. Design thinking, like I said before now, it is generally used. It is word that has been in existence even before now and is not peculiar to just HR professionals. Design thinking refers to the sets of cognitive, strategic, and practical procedures used by designers in the process of designing, and to the body of knowledge that has been developed about how people reason when engaging with design problems. So looking at this definition, you will see that it doesn't really have meaning or attached, is not really attached to HR per se. So, but which one of the definitions will we prefer if you're an HR professional? So in design thinking in HR, so what does it mean, or what does the human principle of design thinking mean? Because that one we just saw is not about human, it's not about HR. So design thinking in human is human-centered. So the center of design thinking in HR, putting it into context, is human-centered. And when I say it is human-centered, I'm talking about it's a way of analyzing or analysis that puts the stakeholders at the center of the purpose in order to solve complex problems. So the stakeholder, the customer, the employees, whichever word you want to replace that word stakeholder with, it goes. So if you are saying the stakeholder, customers, or employees, it's okay. In other words, finding solutions that respond to human needs and individual feedback. So this is what we, again, design thinking in HR means applying these human-centered design principles to your HR processes in order to improve the employee experience. Again, we come back to the word employee experience. You see how many times we use this word as employee experience, because it's key when we talk about design thinking. Improve employee experience, and as a consequences, increase performance and productivity. So what will design thinking do for us at the end of the process? Because we'll see some stages during the course of this session. What would be the aim? What would we drive at the end of our process, of our design thinking process? So at the end, we are looking at performance, we are looking at experience, we are looking at performance, we are looking at productivity, we are looking at the word efficiency as well when we talk about design thinking. Design thinking in HR, again, can be used to improve a wide range of human resources functions. So including talents, recruiting top talents or attracting them, even retaining top talents, finding right learning and development opportunities for your talents, increasing performance of your talents, and then finding solutions to retain, like I said before now, your talent. So we do not want to be ignorant of what is going on, and that has not stopped, and that we are not seeing stopping, which is people leaving organizations, traveling outside Nigeria, the Japa syndrome, or leaving organizations to fill the space of those that have traveled outside Nigeria. So we are seeing people moving around, and this is not going to stop anytime soon. So what are the ways that you need to, structure your own learning and development opportunities, or a way to structure your own strategies in order to retain your top talents? These are key in design thinking. Now let's quickly run through the 5 key design thinking in HR principles. Number 1, we look at the user centricity and empathy. The word empathy there is key. HR needs empathy. Design thinking, if you must apply design thinking as a professional, the first thing that should come into your mind is empathy. And this foundation for the thinking is very important. You need, as much as possible, to put yourself into the shoes of all your employees. Now, this is not easy. It is not about you that you are saying it. Can you do it? Yes, it is not easy to be able to fit yourself into all your employees' shoes. Again, you as a professional need as much as possible to do this. And this is because you need to gain a genuine understanding of your employee's journey with the company. So recently I had a meeting with my line manager, and she was like, I need to follow up on my candidate. So my candidate, not fresh, not like my candidate that I've not given offer, that I've not resumed, but my candidate that I've resumed. Now, we HR professionals, we think that at the end of the onboarding, the onboarding process or the induction process ends at the 5th day or the 6th day, where the employer and where the staff, that's the employee, has resumed. So you're like, okay, good day. But she was telling me that I need to make calls to them to understand what they are going through, like over 6 months. I was like, I'm not new to the process. So because maybe she's thinking, I do not know. I said, I've been following through. So it's understandable. I need to understand the journey of my people. I need to understand what is going on, because we have people just resign maybe within 1 month, within 3 weeks of resumption. There is something that has triggered that, not just about the Japa syndrome, or there's something peculiar. So we need to know. So that is part of the reason, not just all, to understand the journey of your people. Secondly, is collaboration. Second key design thinking and principle is collaboration. Design thinking is also centered around the concept of human collaboration. Now, most of the time, you don't need to sit down and just think about what your people are going through. You need to collaborate. You need to collect a diverse range of perspectives and ideas from your employees. You need all this so that you can gain full understanding of every experience with your company. So every experience that your people, that is, when I say your people, I mean your employees, have with your company. So whether today you are a business owner on this call, or you're an HR professional, you're an HR BP, you are in any phase that you work in any organization that you work in, or at any capacity that you are functioning right now, you need this design thinking as much as possible. Now we'll move to the third stage, which is ideation stage. This principle of ideation is solution-based. Design thinking is a solution-based framework. And when we talk about ideation, what's more, you should be continuously striving to find out solutions. You should be finding solutions, as people need are constantly evolving. So you do not need to think that, okay, I'm done. I've solved the problem that we see currently. But you need constant, because problems keep coming up. So you would agree with me that before the COVID era, we do not have the issue of work from home. We do not have the problem of how can we track our employees who are working from home. How can we have a track record of what they are doing? How can we don't have those strategies. We don't have those policies of working from home, shift, you come Monday, you don't, because there was no COVID. But after the COVID era, what happened? We can see what's going on now. So that is why we need to constantly, as much as possible, look for solutions, strive to continuously find solutions to people's needs, because we continue to have problems. Okay, so the next one is experimentation. That's the next principle, experimentation. So we do not stop at brainstorming. We experiment with new ideas and turn them into prototypes. Now, as professionals, again, you need to tweak your ideas based on the feedback that you have collected. So from what we had before, the ideation, where we need to continue to look for solutions to problems, creating free judgment environment, open communication, and don't be biased. Don't close your eyes to certain things. You need to continue. We don't need to stop at that point. So we need to now to turn these ideas, these ideations, turn them into prototypes, test them on sample groups, and collect feedback. It is important. And remember that design thinking in HR is all about try and error. So we need to test, raise, and we repeat. So it keeps going. You see the steps that I'll go into my next slides. You see that it's a continuous process. So it's not something you do and say, I'm done. According to what we see on the slide now, it says that Rome was not built in a day, and that is it. So you need to continue, because at the end of the day, you might test, raise, and repeat. It doesn't work. So what works for you may not work for me. We'll see some examples again at the end of the session. Action. Now, this is the last principle of the design thinking that I'm going to talk about. Finally, we need to remember that design thinking is an hands-on approach to problem solving. So it is not something that you do and it stops. So it's a continuous process, like I said. So this means that you need to put your words into action. Instead of holding endless discussions about what might improve the experience of your company, engage your employees, test your prototypes, and don't be disheartening at the feedback you would receive. So if your feedback isn't good enough or is not what you were expecting, involve your employees in the decision-making process so that at the end of the day, the solution would be great. So the feedback, so you start again, you start the process and everybody's happy. So you are not doing a one-man thing. So this is what I just talked about. This is the framework I just spoke about. Oh, sorry, I've not spoken about this. I'll be speaking about this right now. So this would now lead me to the what's involved in the design thinking process, design thinking phases. So we have 5 key stages. So you have looked at the principles of design thinking. So we want to look at the 5 key stages. Now, these stages cannot be jumped. So it's a stage, like, for example, we have empathize. Empathy. You do empathy. The next you do. So you don't move from stage 1 to stage 3. It doesn't work that way. So let us look at the first stage, empathize. This stage aims to paint a clear picture of who your employees are. So the challenges they face and what needs and expectation you need to meet. So how can you find out this if you do not have a one-on-one sessions with them? So you need to have a one-on-one session with them. Collect things that you think that that they might be having problems or challenges that they might be facing. Then the next stage is to define. So at this stage now, you are involved. The stage involves analyzing the data you have collected in this first stage. Face-to-face conversation that you have had, or you have thrown out maybe a ballot or something for people to write about. So the second stage is for you to now define that first stage and reduce the feedback to one core issue. So because this one I've said this, this one I've said this, this one I've said this, you need to now collate them and define what you have learned about your employees. What issues do most employees have? What issues have they raised? And what issues do majority face? These are the issues we want to deal with. Then after that, you ideate. So now you see that you cannot just first empathize. After empathizing, you come and ideate. So what are you ideating? Are you going to be ideating 1, 1, 1, 1? So you have 500 employees. You are going to ideate. You are going to ideate all the what they've said. No, that is where the defining comes in, and that is why I said it's a stage by stage. Here you ideate once you have observed the workforce and define the issue that everyone has. Now they want to solve this problem. How then? Then you have to brainstorm. It's time to brainstorm, sit with them, and encourage everyone to share their ideas and perspective. So it is important that we brainstorm. It is not a point where you just call meeting and you talk and you talk and you talk, and at the end of the day, we are done. So I was once employed with a company where I gave a suggestion that we need, because I was hearing many complaints about how the HR is working, functioning in this company and blah, blah, blah. So I now gave my director an insight as an heads up, like people are really complaining. I don't know why, but see reasons why people are complaining and all that. But people are saying a lot of things. Can we have a village meeting, a stand-up meeting? And she agreed to a stand-up meeting. And at the stand-up meeting, I was shocked at what I saw. What I saw was that she just mentioned things. So number 1, we have to culture. Our culture is like this. We have to be open-minded. And at the end, we are done. Everybody dismissed. And I was like, oh, so is this how this is done? So I didn't get that. So here it is when you don't need to just talk. You need to listen again. As a professional, you need people to talk at this point. Then you prototype. Select a few from your list and build on them in order to find the best solution. So that is where the prototyping comes in. And these prototypes we are talking about come up with at this stage, you would will give you something tangible to test on your employees. And this is critical if you must maintain your user-centric approach. This is critical in maintaining a user-centric approach. And the last year in the stage is to test. You need to run a few tests, testing session, and observe your employees as they interact with your prototypes so that you can understand the feedback and encourage your employees to share their honest opinion. And again, it's a process, like I said. You can then use this feedback to make improvements before investing in your final solutions. This again, you would do again. You would not just do it and say, okay, I've done this now, it's over. Don't forget that our problems continues, like issues continue. So we need to continue to look for a best way to solve problems. Things will continue to come up. So we need to continue. We don't need to stop. Okay, so design thinking in HR examples. I have design thinking for learning and development. You can use the design thinking process to improve your existing employees' development plan. You can use it to foster a more inclusive learning culture. So design thinking would help you also to think, what are the most effective application of this of my process? How can I efficiently or effectively deploy my process? How can it fit when it comes to employees' development plans? So you can use design thinking in this area. You can also use design thinking in the aspect in this aspect by developing a workforce mentorship program for your employees. So you develop a workforce mentorship program, coaching in the workplace, or peer mentoring. These are the things you can also, where design thinking can also work for when we talk about learning and development. So design thinking in HR, again, for improving the employee experience. I said this before now, that employee experience cannot be taken out of design thinking. The human-centric design of this approach makes it ideal for improving the employee experience. The entire concept is about understanding the perspective of your employees. That is the entire aspect, or the better part of this particular. Sorry, can you still hear me? Hello?
Please proceed, we can hear you.
Okay. My screen just went blank, so I don't know, someone is sharing something I don't understand right now. What's going on?
I think you have to unshare and reshare. Someone is doing some magic with the screen. I don't know who the person is.
So let me reshare. Let me share again. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I want to go back to where I stopped. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I was saying that we can also use design thinking to improve the employee experience, our employees' experience. So we cannot take out employee experience when we talk about design thinking. The entire concept is about understanding the perspective of your employees. That is the human-centric part of this design thinking. Now, when we talk about design thinking as well, we can use it to my screen went blank again. I don't know if you can still see my screen. Don't know who is. Okay. So we can also use this. We can encourage 360 feedback, use design thinking to encourage 360 feedback approach. We can use it in terms of our employer experience to encourage open line communication and also help our people to give us feedback as professionals. So we do not want it to look like it's just one way. So I have feedback for you as the boss. I'm the boss, I'm the HR professional. I have feedback. Let your people also give you this feedback. And by doing this, it will help you to gain a better understanding of the challenges and the experience and development that your employees need. And it will help you to also develop their needs to solve their problems and so on. So we continue to the next. Design thinking. Design thinking in HR, tools for HR professionals. Now, the right tools can help you better understand your employees. And we'll look at 2 tools here. I don't know why my slide keeps going up and down. I think it's from the audience. I will keep sharing again. Okay. So it's the right tools that we can use to better. We'll be looking at two tools here. And the first tool is the personnel tools. This particular one here can be these tools can be used to align your employees' wants, their needs, their goals, their emotions, and their behavior, their behavioral pattern. So you can use this to stay user-centric throughout the design thinking process as an HR professional. So you can use this tool to understand your employees' total or what they are thinking, their emotions, their behavior, and all that. So the second one is the journey mapping. For the journey mapping, you can use this journey mapping to capture, to visualize, and to understand all your employees' touch points. You can use it to understand your employees' touch points. You can map out typical employees' journey from start to finish. That is from beginning, that is when they join, even to the end of their journey with the company. You can gain a deeper understanding of your employees' experience using this particular journey mapping. This journey mapping it's a long process. It's a long topic to discuss. So if you go talk about journey mapping, you can spend maybe an hour plus talking about just journey mapping when we talk about design thinking. So let's continue from there. Let's look at the impact of design thinking on HR professionals. Number one, we have change in culture from transactional HR to solution-based HR. And we would see 2 examples later on of companies who have used this to change the life of their employees, and the HRs were giving kudos who have used design thinking, and they've shown that they have actually changed in culture from transactional to culture, transactional to solution-based HR. Then secondly, we have changing employee experience in terms of approach to work, a shift from employee, that's engagement to experience. That's a shift from engagement to experience. So we no longer dwell more on engagement 100%. So if you have a good employee experience, if you have in place good employee experience, if your employees have good experience, in essence, they would be engaged. There will be engagement, natural. So there's a shift now from engagement to experience. So more of experience, then you would see engagement. So that is design thinking. That is one of the impacts of design thinking. Again, we see the third one that says creative and innovative mindset of HR managers. So design thinking, again, its impact for, on HR professionals is that there is this creative and innovative mindset, and we begin to evolve, we begin to change the old perspective of being an HR professional. So we see effectiveness and efficiency. I've talked about the word efficiency and effectiveness during my introduction. It cannot be ruled out when we talk about design thinking. So we cannot rule out that part of effectiveness and efficiency. Then we look at the change in the competencies level of HR managers. So we begin to see that our HR managers are now competent. The impact we would begin to see would be that our HR managers are now going, going in depth. They are now going in depth, having in-depth knowledge about their employees, and they are able to create more of a dynamic environment and an environment where it's pleasant for everyone to stay. So we have the next one, which says that it changes the dynamic HR . It changes the dynamic HR, and so the HR that we now see, sorry. Sorry, I think I would not do a full screen. Let me just do this. I don't know why it keeps going off and on. Okay, so I would, can you see my slides? Hello? Can anybody hear me?
Not just with the Holy Ghost, but with one another. Psalm 133 says,
hello? I'm seeing your face, not your slide.
Oh. Okay, let me share. Can you see the slide now?
It's coming up, yes.
Okay, so I would not make it a full screen. I don't know why it keeps going off and on. I think there are some interactions. It's still going off and on. And I don't know, is Mr. Yemi there? Is Mr. Daosho there? Can he help me share my slides instead?
Is that your cursor or somebody else is playing with it?
Someone else is playing, and I don't understand why it keeps going off and on.
Just continue for now. Just continue for now.
Okay. Okay. So it changes the dynamic HR, like okay, one of the impacts, sorry. Okay, yes, I mean the impact. Changes the dynamic HR to HR activities, creating consistent value. So as a result of the design thinking, we see that there is now a shift, or there is now a mindset of better value from the HR perspective. That's one of the impacts. So the next slide talks about the benefits. The next about the benefits, and the first benefit we have there is that design thinking has been proven to deliver and ROI, that's return on investment, of 85% or higher. So that is one of the benefits. Another benefit is that the primary purpose of design thinking is to help find problems and develop viable solutions. And this results in reducing the time spent during the design and development stages. So it has helped us to understand employees' problem. It has helped us to develop solutions that can help, that would sustain us during that would sustain us when we talk about the design thinking. It would sustain us when we talk about our employee process. It would sustain us when we talk about employees' experience and so on. Next, next point is that it encourages cross-team collaboration. Like we talked about collaboration before now, it encourages teams to collaborate, come together to talk about things that must be an issue, talk about matters of interest with regards industry, with regards, so we now leverage on groups rather than maybe personal stuff or things that we are used to before now. Then we look at the fact that other benefits is that design thinking puts users first, leading to increased engagement and enhancing customer retention. So yeah, we see that we put the users first, that is the people. So the user in this aspect is the people first. So we put the people first, and this will help us to increase our engagement. Put the people's experience first, it will help us to increase engagement. It will help us to enhance productivity, effectiveness, and so on. My slides keep going off and on. I don't know if you see that. I don't know why.
Maybe you should just continue without the slide.
Okay, maybe I should stop sharing slides. Is that what you said? You meant?
Mr. Emi is already sharing from me.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, sir. We hope for a better. So I think we are at the benefit slide, the slide that talks about the benefits. I can't recall the number now. Okay, so yes, I was in the last benefit that says that it encourages Yes, it encourages cross-team collaboration and leverage group thinking. Let's look at the next slide. So design thinking also, like I said, puts users first, which in this aspect, it is us, it is your people in terms of your employees. Puts them first, and this will then increase what? Engagement. It will enhance productivity, and it will help also retention. So where you see customer, you know it's not just customer, but we talk about customer we talk about employees retention as well. Okay, then we look, next slide, we'll be looking at the example. So design thinking in practice, that's what we'll be looking at. So first, we'll look at Cisco. Cisco is a company that has applied this design thinking, and I said before now that they did transform from the traditional process-oriented model to a people-oriented model. And this made it helped them to personalize solutions for their employees. And it became possible for them to personalize these solutions. And how did they do this? See that over a period of 24 hours, Cisco employees across 16 time zones, 39 countries, and 116 cities were able to generate 105 new HR solutions for their workforce of 71,000 people. And this happened as a result of design thinking. And the HR here, they were giving kudos for this great job. So look at what they did. Across 16 time zones, 39 countries and 116 cities. They were able to generate 150 new HR solutions for their workforce. This is indeed great. So let us look at the second company that I picked. Out of many, we have Netflix, we have other companies, right? But I've picked only a few, only these two. Then this company we are conversant with, LinkedIn, we see that LinkedIn was able to shift from employee engagement to employee experience. And how did they do this? We saw that LinkedIn organized a 6 weeks program with 1,000 participants from LinkedIn to find solutions for specific issues around low employee engagement. So what are the issues? Why are we having this issue of low employee engagement? And within 6 weeks, they were able to find a solution to this. And if I have not said, in case we have questions relating to this topic, please don't hesitate to drop it on the chat box, or after the session, you'll be opportune to raise up your hand and then you would ask your questions if you want to ask any question, or you want to make any contribution, or you want to, no man is an island of knowledge. So if you want to make a contribution, you want to ask questions, you will be free at the end of the session. This slide I've stopped sharing. Okay, so let me continue with LinkedIn. So if LinkedIn can do this, so it means that we as HR professionals, we can find our way around how we can make things work, what works for you, or how it works for you. It may not work for me that way. So what works for you may not work for me. So we need to find a balance or strike a balance as to what would work for us. So the next slide, I think it's my last slide. And I'm quoting from Steve Jobs' words. And Steve Jobs' word was talking about, so in essence, he's talking about the fact that you've got to start with the customer experience and work back towards the technology. So customer experience is key, is critical when we talk about professional, when we talk about design thinking. The customer experience is key. So we got to talk about the customer experience before we talk about the technology, not technology first, because the customer experience will now born the technology and put it in place automatically. So we don't need to now start with technology, then leaving customer experience. In this instance, customer experience meaning leaving our employees out of the box and saying that we are facing technology. So this is what Steve Jobs talked about. And this is the end of, yes, I think so we are facing some challenges, really. Some attacks, some internet fraud or fraudsters, I don't know what to call them now, hackers or hijackers. So that's why it's going off and on this way, no problems. So this is the end of my session. I don't know if you have questions. We may not allow the questions to come up. We may not allow you to ask your questions via voice. Can you please ask your questions on chats? If you have questions, you can ask them via chats. Or contributions, or an experience about design thinking you would like to share. So, okay, so I'm done actually. So I'm done actually with my presentation. Mr. Yemi, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm done. Mr. Yemi, we can't hear you. Okay. Oh, okay, no problems. Okay, so let's end the session then. We'll end the session from here. And it's as a result of the attacks, the waves we are having, So we are not sure who is doing that. And so let's end the session from here. So, okay. Okay, so there's a question. Okay. Okay, there's a question here that says, how do you know your employees are adapting to employee experience? Okay, adapting to employee experience, not very clear a question for me, but I would say that your employee experience, like I said again and again, do matters a lot, especially during your induction and onboarding process. And with feedbacks, with your process, with what I started with on the design thinking, you would need to sit with them to understand what the issue is and everything. And after that, you get to do your prototype test runnings. And so the feedback you get from your employee, when you define them one after the other, when you define all this to bring them into one, like I've said before, you'll be able to understand if they are actually having a good employee experience or not having a so much good employee experience. I don't know if that answers the question. Okay. Okay, all right. Do we have any more questions? Okay. Seems there are no more questions. I only have one question here. Okay, so I see a question again. Please, what's the difference between employee engagement and experience? Okay, so employee engagement and experience, I don't know if anyone wants to answer. Employee engagement and employee experience. So I said earlier that employee engagement, employee experience, a good employee experience will bring about a great engagement. So you should, as much as possible, we should not put engagement first. Experience, a good experience will definitely make employees to be engaged. So when they are having a good experience, when there is proper open communication channel, there is feedback, all these things will make a good employee engagement to happen. And when we talk about employee engagement, we talk about things that can help your employee to widen out, things that would help them to get engaged, things that would help them to participate, right? That's when we talk about engagement. But when we talk about experience, we are talking about the first-hand experience that they would have when they join you. We are talking about the things that they see in the environment and all that. I think I would like to end the session right now and call it a day. Join us again. We'll have next session, and would if you are not a member of the HR mentorship, you have an opportunity to join. We have our groups, and yes, so I would end up the slides. I'll end the discussion right now. Have a great day and a good evening. Thank you, everyone.
You too. Thank you.